Welcome back to Freedom to Learn podcast. My name is Guru Sv4u. I'm the founder of Silicon Valley for You. So today we have Camillia Doss, who has been with Silicon Valley for You now for 3 years, 4 years, 3 years, yeah. And she has been very instrumental in doing a lot of internships for us, running summer camps and classes for many years. And she has been interning with us for close to 2 years now, I guess. I don't know. I just don't remember anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's from Bay Area, and she's born and brought up in Bay Area, and she's a high school student. So welcome, Camilla.
Hi.
All right. So for the viewers who are new to this podcast, please subscribe and press on the like button. And yeah, so Camilla, so just why don't you tell viewers about yourself
Sure.
and what you do and what brings you to technology and coding?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Camillia. So I'm a current sophomore in high school. Some of my, hobbies I like to do is, I like to read, travel, and just, things like that. But my main interest that I like to do is coding. So one of the things that brought me to coding was the fact that I actually used to play a lot of games, and that really sparked my interest to think, what created those, or how did creators create those games, and also the fact that there were a lot of dojos around in my time that offered to teach coding, and I really wondered what it was all about because I used to hear a lot of languages, different languages like Java, Python, but I never really knew what they were. So, by that time I was very interested to figure it out and learn coding for myself.
Yeah, so I obviously I'm in this field for very long time, and I always preach to everybody that, especially your generation people, has to deal with technology, whether it's coding or otherwise. Um, and it's mandatory. It's no longer optional. But back in my time, at least your parents' time, my time, um, there are people who did coding or tech who didn't coding. So I did computer science. Some others didn't. So it was okay. And I know even now, a lot of people have struggled to just to use cell phone and
Hmm.
smartphones, and which is going to be much harder if that's the case going forward because everything is tech, right? I drive electric car, everything
Yeah.
is software, and yeah. So I think you are on the right track. So I guess so. With that, I know you have a little bit of time in to decide, you about your college education and things like that. Have you
Yeah.
thought about those?
I did. I mean, ever since I started learning here at Silicon Valley, I think so, like comp sci is just for me. Like I really enjoy doing it. It, challenges me, and in the future, I definitely plan on like majoring in comp sci, and college will help me expand my learning in coding, even more.
Yeah, I think if I'm right, your sister is already in college, so you can
Yeah, my
speak
my
to.
brother is, yeah.
Oh, your brother. Okay, I
Yeah,
should
he's
have
in
said
college,
your
yeah.
sibling. That would have been easier.
Yeah.
So you can speak to him, and you can get his input as well.
Yeah.
My take is that regardless of what you want to do in college, whether it's computer science, that's great. If it is
Hmm.
computer science, this is it, and this is as good as it gets. And if you don't, even if you choose not to, having experience and expertise in
Yeah.
tech is going to be very, very helpful. So that's what I preach to everybody, regardless of whether you do mechanical engineering or medicine,
Hmm.
are altogether completely different. Social service. I mean, a lot of jobs are being taken over by bots.
Hmm.
I read a column about IITs, people mechanical engineering from IITs are finding hard to find jobs because a lot of their mechanical engineering jobs are replaced by bots.
Hmm.
Unless as a mechanical engineer, you understand how to use bot or to deal with bot,
Yeah.
then you don't have opportunity. So you can't just say I'm a mechanical engineer because bot is already doing it for you. So so it's more and more, right? So it's everywhere. I mean, right after this, I don't know if you checked out the mall. There's a coffee place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you checked it out. So I checked out yesterday. So a lot of tech is going to be in there. So I think
Yeah.
that's why one more thing I like to add is that coding is just one piece of the puzzle. So I always say there are at least three things you have to learn. One
Hmm.
is coding, second is domain. For instance, some of the projects you're doing. So the domain is e-commerce. So which is something you have to understand. Amazon, right?
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure you know what Amazon is, but not
Yeah.
many people really understand the magnitude of the
Yeah. Yeah.
e-commerce platform they have. Just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So a lot of them, like
For
Walmart,
sure. Yeah.
Macy's, everybody has one.
Hmm.
And then you also have to understand use case. Very simple. Like if I ask you how Starbucks work, and I guarantee you a lot of students that come out of colleges, let alone high schools, struggle to articulate, how any
How
use
it
case,
works.
most of the
Yeah.
use case work out there. So those are the things very crucial. Once you get the grasp of those, that turns you into a creator, not a follower.
Yeah.
So with that, like for instance, so I know, so you spoke about college. So do you have a sense of what you want to be when you get to, when everything is said and done? Like this is
Yeah.
what I want to be.
Like you were saying, like everything uses coding at this point. Like every major you do it, some sort of it. I mean, everything, like you said, everything links into technology itself. Um, I have some of my brother's friends who are doing a different major than comp sci, but they're already starting to get into technology because again, everything is just everything involves technology
Comes
at
back
this
to it.
generation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I definitely do want to work somewhere that has, coding as a part of it because, it's something I enjoy doing. Like I said before, it challenges, but I guess like doing it and like different topics and, learning different languages, definitely want to work somewhere with coding as a part of it.
Yeah. So that's the reason, another reason. So I was telling you this morning or yesterday, so that basically we want to see, right now I'm hosting this podcast. So I'm going to bring in a lot of guests from the industry. So I'm already speaking to a lot of CEOs,
Hmm.
executives from the company to bring their experiences for your benefit,
Hmm.
youth benefit, to understand what it means to be that, what it takes to get there, if that's somebody's aspiration. So, but going forward, I want some of you to host these podcasts. The reason being, as part of hosting, you also understand what that person is, what that person does, what that company does, and things like that. It's very, very important. Take my word for it, schools don't teach, regardless of what school you go to.
I was just about to get to that, yeah. Like the thing is, schools like they offer, basic. They only offer most schools offer only, like comp sci and then AP comp sci, but it's very broad, one would say, and it doesn't very go over all the topics and everything as
Yeah. It's a single dimension. That's not so as I said, I call it technology 3D. So you need use case, domain, and so let's take APCS, right? You do Java, so you learn Java. So
Hmm.
what? That diamond doesn't. There are a lot of Java
Yeah,
developers out there. So
yeah.
my point is, so if somebody comes to me saying that, hey, I did Java, so now first question, what did you do with it? If the
Hmm.
person says no, I just got the GPA, it doesn't mean anything. So
Hmm.
everybody knows what for loop is. You can just look it up on Google and it will show you Java for loop.
Yeah.
So I'm just giving that as an example. But point is that every that I call it static. What
Hmm.
these subjects are static. They're not dynamic. What I mean by
Yeah.
that is what you APCS in your high school can be found on internet. If you Google it, you'll
Yeah.
get entire Java course. What you don't get on internet is, say, if I want to develop a particular application using Java, where do I even start? So
Yeah.
that's technology. Everything else is just a information. So you
Yeah.
just the information. That's it. So that's why I always challenge students to go beyond. Don't think about, okay, I'm going to go to APCS, I'm going to get this GPA or score. I mean, I guess the US call it scores there,
Hmm.
and that's good. That's fine. Don't get me wrong. We do it because schools, colleges expect that. But beyond, you have to go beyond that. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you are one in billion. So
Yeah.
it's very hard to stand out. So anyway, that's the 3D part is what typically is needed for a youth, and that wasn't the case in my case, but I had to spend several years to figure that out.
Yeah.
So, like I said, okay, now that we are on that same topic, so in order to achieve what you want to do in your career, do you think, we already spoke about it. Do you
Yeah.
think schools are helping? If yes, what it is. If not, you can just point, hey, like maybe these are the couple of things I look for.
Yeah. No. I'll go back to the school topic because I think it's pretty important because I think a lot of people believe that, once they take a course at school, like a comp sci course, they, you know, they would know that, now I know coding, I'm all set, I can set out to do any project that I want to do.
Yeah,
But, like being in Silicon Valley, for example, like a teaching, institute like this, you really know like which steps to actually follow. It's not just, oh, I know coding now and now I can just, set off and create something. But, separately, other than school, I don't think school really, not challenges really, but, makes you dive deeper and, you know, like where you can actually, you know, like create a project. So schools don't really do that much. They just go over the
yeah.
general overview of, how, like, how to print something or what is an array list, something, those sorts. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's I call it static.
Hmm.
It's a where
Not dynamic.
it's a
Yeah.
textbook. It's a book. It's
Yeah.
just you can see and reproduce it just like any other
Hmm.
subject, right? History, coding is not none of those. So that's
Yeah.
the vast difference. And with all due respect, if you take some of the instructors, so let's say you teach Scratch and Python, so you have done a lot of Scratch, you have done a lot of Python, you are
Hmm.
the right person to mentor somebody. So
Hmm.
whereas with all due respect, in school, some math teacher teaches Java. It's not easy, and
Yeah. No.
especially at
Yeah.
that age. And so that's the other dimension I always um, you talk about, because somebody who has done it has to teach rather than somebody who read it.
Yeah.
So now that on that topic, right, let's segue into your association with Silicon Valley for you. And also, I'm a strong believer. Also, the philosophy behind Silicon Valley for you is something we call it continuous learning. You're learning and you're also applying simultaneously. And so that also brings these different dimensions, such as, you know, understanding domains, understanding, learning technologies and speaking to
Hmm.
people,
Hmm.
community. And then, for instance, next week, we work with 150 colleges. So we have a
Hmm.
lot of projects going on, over 30 projects going on. We just signed with UC Berkeley Haas School, and so we'll be
Nice.
working with them. They're very,
Yeah.
very senior people, just so you know, very senior
Hmm.
people. They were vice presidents, joined the Haas
Yeah.
School, and they're going to do coding with us. That's
Wow.
brilliant. I mean, let's see how it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
And then some of the UT Dallas, and then
Hmm.
Northeastern School, and then bunch of engineering colleges from India.
Hmm.
So all that exposure is, it's not that there are intangibles in it. It's not like, okay, Java is Java, whether
Yeah.
you do in India or UK or America, it's Java is Java, right? So,
Hmm.
or Python is Python. But
Yeah.
when you have that exposure and working with them, there's so much you can learn from others. that you don't see tangibly on the paper, or it's hard to explain, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just being there and doing it, and then it continues, that develops your personality and also become a leader, right? So that's what
Mm.
we are trying to do. So uh, my thing is that as part of continuous learning, mentorship is very, very important. So you had a golden opportunity to be a mentor to what? You would have trained over what, 300, 200 students by now, if you add up all the summer camps and classes and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous opportunity. I didn't have until I didn't have until never. I never mentored anyone. I mean, I mentored one or two
But
people where
yeah.
they follow me, but I never did any formal class. And then, and so, and also at the same time, I always say that do not stop learn. I mean, you have to be mentored by someone else.
Hmm.
You can't stop either one of them. So speak to that, and then your association with Silicon Valley for you.
Yeah, no, you bring up a very good point about communication, because you're right, you can just learn Java from any college, but also like interacting with those students in the class. Like when I was, learning, Python, Java, the students there, we'd, like my instructor would share something on his screen, and we'd actually all talk about it, and then that brought up many more ideas, and that creates a lot of ideas that you can use. And also when I teach students and everything, it also brings me idea when they point something out. So that's the thing, even when you mentor, it's just not teaching them, you're teaching them, but you're also learning more for yourself. So it's kind of like a
Absolutely. Yeah.
two-way sort of situation. So yeah.
I
um
always say that you learn when you mentor, to be honest.
yeah. No, I
So
I learned a lot while mentoring, and not just coding as well, but also communication skills and social skills as
absolutely,
well. So
absolutely,
it's very good in both
absolutely.
cases.
Those you cannot train somebody for instance, I
Yeah.
can't write a book how to mentor someone, and then you write the exam and pass the exam. You
Yeah.
won't
Yeah.
become a mentor by passing that exam. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm relating to the school system today, right? If you want to
Mm.
learn anything, you have a book, you read it, you pass the exam, and then you're supposed to be a certified person.
Yeah.
Certain things you cannot be taught. They cannot be taught. Leadership, mentorship, entrepreneurship. Some of
Yeah.
these you have to experience them. The only way you learn is by experiencing them. For instance, there are certain things that end up happening in classroom situations. There is, you can't reproduce them, you can't
Yeah.
anticipate them. What
Mm.
so right now, for in my opinion, when tomorrow when you have to deal with certain number of people, whether
Mm.
it's your peers or new people or public or whatnot, since you have been doing this, it's kind of in your DNA. You can just walk in and you
Yeah.
have that confidence to deal with that. All our
Yeah.
interns, in my opinion, because it's like a kid, right? If you put a kid on the stage, does he fear? No, he doesn't care, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
So it's built in. Whereas a grown-up man or a woman,
Mm.
and if you put them on a stage,
Yeah.
sometimes it will be very interesting. They freak out. So there is a
No.
stage
Yeah.
fear and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
You need like
Um,
you need experience for these sort of things,
Correct.
and like you said, like reading a book won't do anything. You need the actual like
Scenario. The
experience.
people come
Yeah.
in and
Scenario.
all
Yeah.
kinds of behaviors,
Mm.
patterns, characters. And
Yeah.
I know we had funny situations, right? I don't know if it's your class, somebody signed up and she calls and say, "Oh, I didn't know that we need a computer." So, so it's like,
Yeah.
how
So
where do you start? I mean, okay, we had a computer
yeah.
class, I mean, computer. So I was there, I was watching the WhatsApp messages.
Oh.
I thought that's hilarious. So, yeah, so with that, let's go to the last question, which I
Mm.
always ask. What is the piece of technology that you fantasize, or something that you want that doesn't exist today? It can be
That's
anything. It's like Star Wars type thing, or it can be
interesting.
a pragmatic one.
Um, that's a good question. I think I'd want something that can basically like make whatever you want sort of thing. Like, whether that be like code anything you want or
Yeah.
create anything you want, but something that maybe, whatever you want or whatever you want to create or something you imagine, like some sort of machine that makes that come to life.
Yeah, I mean, I think we are very close to doing that. I
Yeah,
guarantee
yeah.
there are code generators already.
Hmm.
There are, a lot of things are happening, right, by talking to them. So, for instance, vacuum cleaner, it cleans. Uh,
Yeah.
so I think that's, I mean, it's going to happen, and yeah, and I think we are very close to, being there.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so this is great. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
So
sure,
for
no problem.
taking
This was
time.
fun, yeah.
So as I said before, these are series of podcasts. So as we go through, then we will, as you do projects and things like that. So we'll do in depth. We can take a particular activity, go and drill down into it as a
Hmm.
podcast. And also, I want a lot of people like you to host these. We are going to have those podcasts going forward. And yeah, thank you very much. And then I'll see
Yeah,
you in a few weeks again.
sure. Sounds good. Bye.
All right.